Oh God, McLaren!
He's gone.
He's been in the pit 40 seconds!
Whoa!
Front wing! Careful with the front wing! God! Matisse, it's happening, mate. I'm putting on my lucky new Ferrari hat. Oh no!
Oh, science!
It's Leclerc!
It's Leclerc! Drama!
Take that out.
Leclerc.
Introducing FANZONE.
My friend Elliot from Canada.
We are still
Say we
top of the league. We are top of the league. We are top of the league. Say we are top of the league.
Allows any fan, anywhere you are on the planet, to broadcast live into our shows at the push of a button via our website or app.
I'm tired of hearing about the Europa League like it's silverware. So is the League Cup. So is the Dubai Cup. So is the Community Shield.
Ah, Michael, come on, they're not the same level.
No, I mean it!
Cecile. My guy.
FANZONE on AFTV Plus. You can download it on iOS or the Play Store and have your say.
Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. As you saw there, if you download the AFTV Plus app on the Google Play Store, whether it be iOS App Store as well, you can literally have your say by jumping on these shows live with us. We're not doing one today, but on Mondays, Fridays, straight after games as well on FANZONE, we get to chat and get your reaction to the games or any of the breaking news throughout the day. I'm here with Laurie. How you doing, Laurie?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good. Been a while since we've shared the stage together.
I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Plenty.
Especially now, you
Yes.
know, the vibes is,
Well, people believe in the
up a
team
little bit.
again now, don't they? It's amazing
Well,
how
some people didn't believe, but I was one that had some belief. I've been taking a bit of stick for it. But, listen, it is what it is.
You were, though, very vocal on how appalling Chelsea were yesterday. And maybe it's worth remembering that as well. When
I've got to say, I was going to say it in the show, but, now seems the opportune time. I was actually taken aback as to how bad Chelsea were in that first half. Because I actually thought that they was going to come to the Emirates with some ambition and some, some purpose. Now, listen, I don't like to throw it out there that the players were not, putting a shift in and that. I don't even think it's that. I just think that there's zero confidence in that team, zero belief in what the manager's trying to do. I'm not even sure if he knows what he's trying to do, but they just
has a clue.
They just seem totally bereft of ideas and confidence, and so when it wasn't working for them, they just looked awful. They really did.
And if I'm to add a little bit more kind of more of a tactical look at it, going into the game, not just a lot of people, and I'm not quoting you here, but a lot of people were saying, oh, well, Chelsea will turn up. It's a London derby, they'll do something for the fans. I go beyond that. I kind of thought, look at their players. Azpilicueta, experienced player, loves the club, knows what it means to play for Chelsea, has been part of title-winning teams. Thiago Silva, even when Chelsea are a mess and doesn't really put a foot wrong. I rate Chilwell massively. Fofana, I think's a good player. You look at their midfield, Kante, Kovacic, Enzo. You could argue that you take their midfield and our midfield and you put them under the same manager, they might have a better midfield.
You know what? Well, I was saying that yesterday to somebody, because if you look at Chelsea, player for player and ours, talent for talent, if you match them up, it's a very good matchup. In fact, in more than a few positions, you could argue that they've got the superior talent there. So quite why it's gone so wrong. I mean, there's a litany of reasons, but and I'm sure a lot of them carry weight, but I don't know. It was kind of weird for me to watch because I'm a football fan.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate teams like Chelsea being a powerhouse and to see them slip like that and just look so unrecognisable to what they have been in recent years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say if it was sad because I was glad for the win, but you know what I'm saying, innit? It seemed
well,
weird.
Yeah. I also feel that they've got players that are they can play beyond the talentless managers they have, and I mean the likes of Kante, for example. I kind of always felt Kante you could put in pretty much any team and he's just going to look brilliant. Kovacic I think is fantastic. Enzo's a World Cup winner. I thought they were going to really put it about and make it difficult for us. I can't believe how easy Arsenal found it. I'd go as far as to say that was our easiest game at home this season.
Oh yeah,
I think Forest is the only other, we beat them 5-0. You know, and that's saying something. You know, I honestly think that was the easiest game we've had all season, bar that Forest game. Certainly at home.
It's definitely
anyway.
the easiest London derby, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we've got a whole list of clean sheets in all the other London derbies. Yet that's the one I think we found easier. But you know, Chelsea just didn't show up at all. And what I would say, I was saying in the starting 11 show that the Arsenal players I felt needed to reignite the fans a little bit, you know, after the last 4 games. But we could hear the commentary. Fair play to the fans. They were great. My brother and my dad were there. They said the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. So for everything you're saying, and people laughing a little bit about it's not over yet and we still believe, I think there's a large section of the fan base, and certainly with you know the team, believe that it's not worth giving up on.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually quite surprised because when I've done some of the watch-alongs and some of the shows, fan cams, and whenever I've, you know, tried to strike a positive note, you look in the comments and there's people saying, "Oh, this guy's deluded, clown, this, that," and I'm thinking, really? And I was saying to you, James, the other day, that like it's interesting that with some of the fans, right, they'll be the first ones to accuse the players of not believing, of not trying, of giving up, bottling it, all the rest of all the other terms that go around. But yet, as fans, you appear to be giving up on the team themselves.
I hear it. I absolutely.
And that don't make no sense to me. Well, I know Turkish will say, yeah, but we're not the players. You know, I mean, we can think like that, and I'm like, not really, because it's a unified effort, really, isn't it? Insofar as you want the fans to align behind the team and to believe. So I'm so glad you said what you said. I wasn't at the game yesterday. I did a watch along, and obviously the sound is turned down. So what you said there about the crowd really getting behind the team, I'm really pleased to hear that, because I just felt with some of the fans, judging by some of the comments I've seen when I've done shows and that, I just got the impression that some, not all, some, you know, and quite a loud minority were chastising people like myself and Robbie for being positive, and I found that weird, to be honest.
I think there's, like everything I do on this channel, there's a grey area. There is a point at which I felt, look, I don't believe we're going to win it. If I'm being really honest, I don't. And I felt that since Southampton. After West Ham, I kind of still had a bit of hope, but yeah, after Southampton, I thought Man City would destroy us. They did. But at the same time, I think the least you can do, whether you genuinely believe we're going to win it or not, is really be behind the team in the hope that something does happen.
Exactly.
You know, and in fairness, I don't know anyone who hasn't been behind the team. But what's great is that the fans, that, you know, again, from what I could hear and what I've heard from the people who were there, you know, the fans were fantastic. And like I said, I think the fans have been unbelievable, home and away and everything. And not just been unbelievable this season, been incredibly patient to get up to this position, because everyone likes to throw the whole, see, Arteta's proving everyone wrong. Arteta got things wrong. Let's not pretend he didn't. He got things wrong in this journey. But I think in a situation in which I felt, you know what, I wouldn't blame the Emirates if it was slightly more mellow for the Chelsea game. If it wasn't quite as electric as it's been all season, you know, I wouldn't blame them. But no, the opposite. It was loud.
It was bouncing.
They wanted a result against Chelsea. And I thought, well, the players got to lift it out the fans, but no need. The fans were brilliant and the players were fantastic as well. So I'm really excited about, you know, the Newcastle game. Do I think we'll win? I'm expecting an incredibly difficult game.
Oh, it's going to be a difficult
really
game.
Difficult.
Shadow of a doubt. In fact, it couldn't get much more difficult.
Well,
if you'd have
probably
gone to the likes of City
this season alone, City away is probably the only tougher away game.
So it's a considerable test, but one that, you know, we can do well in if we've got the right attitude and the players turn up on the day. I mean,
I agree.
And as I was saying, James, I do accept what you're saying about, you know, perhaps the title is not there in the way we were speaking a few weeks ago. However, I do think the team and the fans and everybody else owe it to everybody concerned to have this one last push. I'll tell you why, because, well, you just alluded to it. If in the unlikely event that City do slip up, we need to be there in a position to take advantage of that. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is by winning all our games, or definitely not losing any. And secondly, the title notwithstanding, There's now 4 games left. We have to try and win all 4 games. We want to try and finish the season on a high. And I think it's very important to do so for a number of reasons. Number one, look at the season we've had so far. The last thing you want it to do is just to tail off disappointingly. Then what that does is create a certain negative vibe, a certain disappointment, which can carry on into next season. If we finish strong, the vibe is still good. Okay, the disappointment will be that if we don't win the title, that, you know, we should have won it and we let it slip, which, you know, is true. However, let's cast our minds back to August last year. How many of us realistic were predicting that we would win the title? Very, very few, if any. I didn't speak to a single fan that was predicting that Arsenal would win the title. I've heard of people, you know, past tense saying, yeah, I thought we could do it. Well, I didn't talk to you. You know what I mean? Most of the people that I spoke to were optimistic that we could get a Champions League place. Yeah. And we've done that. So that's been achieved. And if we finish strongly, like I said, the vibe will be good. That carries over into next season, into the transfer window. Champions League football can attract players, and you go into next season with a good degree of optimism.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to ask you about some other stuff, and there's loads of breaking news on this show. Before I do, everyone, are you enjoying this live show? If you are, first and foremost, hit the like button. Second of all, you can see AFTV live at the Invincible Podcast live show at the Islington Assembly Hall on Tuesday, 23rd of May. Yes, I am reading my notes because I want to make sure I got the details absolutely spot on. But we're all going to be there. Robbie, Lee, I'll be there. You going to join us?
Yeah, man, that's a great look. I'll be there for sure.
Go over there. Go to tourlink.2/AFTV TPS, but the link is in the description below. And like I said, it's an Invincible Podcast live show, so you'll get to see Robbie and Lee chatting live, and we'll be able to chat to you after the event as well. But a few of us as well, and other people I think will be involved in the show. And yeah, talking Arsenal, talking ahead of the summer, talking ahead of tour, talking ahead of signings, talking a little bit about AFTV as well. So go hit the link in the description below. It's all there. Go grab your tickets, and we really look forward to seeing you all there as well. Laurie, something else I wanted to ask you about.
Fire away.
Footage of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, player that you really like, and listen, I know. Try to say it with a straight face.
I'm the fully paid up member, probably the only one left.
Well,
Aubameyang fan.
I think you are his biggest fan.
Yeah. No, but you know what? Let me just say, I hope I'm not preempting anything you say, but I just want to make this clear. Yeah? I do like Aubameyang as a player and as a person. I've never met him actually, but I've just kind of gravitated towards his energy. I like when he was at the club. I really did admire him. He was great for us for a couple of seasons. We all know about the FA Cup and the Charity Shield, the Golden Boot. But I thought that there was a real connect with him and the club. He was kind of talisman, wasn't he, for a while? And okay, he didn't end the best way, as relationships often do. But listen, that's nothing to do with me. That's between Aubameyang and Arteta. What happened, I don't fully know. I can only speculate. But what I'm saying is, I am not going to denigrate him now, because at the end of the day, I believe that the guy was a very good player for the club, and I enjoyed him while he was here. I'm not going to crap on the guy now that he's going through a difficult period at Chelsea. That's not what I'm about, bro.
Sure, there was footage of him standing in the centre circle as North London Forever was played around the Emirates, and look, some people can read far too much into, you know, a 10-second shot of a player. Some people said he looked maybe a little full of regret of maybe the way things ended at Arsenal, or maybe looked a little, you know, sort of sad because it was a place he called home. It was a place he was loved for so long. I think the thing I'd say is whether that particular shot was him actually thinking, oh, I regret how it ended, or I regret, you know, the relationship I have with Arsenal fans, or and you know, whether any of that was what he was thinking at that moment, I don't know. We're talking about a 10-second shot of him. But I do think that, I do genuinely believe he loved the club.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do genuinely believe that, you know, he's not a bad person. That just a few unwise quotes or decisions or whatever. But I don't also go against Arteta for setting a standard that he absolutely needs everyone to adhere to, and sometimes it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah, exactly. Aubameyang said that himself.
Well, he is.
Nothing personal.
Well, Matisse calls him Mr. It's not personal. He calls him starting up front, but. Again, like that kind of thing wasn't the wisest thing, but you see the behind the scenes when he's asked to say it, he kind of goes, all right, fine, I'll say it. He's I think he's just
to me that's nothing personal stuff. Was just promo for the game.
Sure.
If you remember back when we played him the first
I don't think it was a smart thing though. I think if I were him, I would have just not said that because you just know how that can come back.
Yeah. I think that's kind of speaks to his character now. He's a kind of showman type of personality. So he probably thought it was hype that was hyping up the game. There was nothing personal to it. That's just his thought process. For me, the way I look at it, it was sad the way things ended at Arsenal, because you've got to remember that Aubameyang was well on his way to iconic status at Arsenal, wasn't he?
I'd say so.
We've spoken about some of his accolades before in terms of Golden Boot, the FA Cup and stuff like that. He was a captain and... we all wanted him to sign the thing, remember all that. Things didn't quite work out. He went through a poor run of form, then we started hearing about some of the stuff behind the scenes of him turning up late for training and being disciplined, quite rightly, if he was late. It kind of ended sadly for me. I didn't like to see it. I didn't like the way some of the fans turned on him as well. The whole thing was quite sad for me. But from my personal point of view, I'm not that type of guy that's just going to dump on him now that he's going through a bad phase at Chelsea, because I still respect and like the guy. That's just my personal opinion.
Fair enough. Still so many talking topics to go through, everyone. So we're going to start moving through the real meat of the show. Bellingham. Now, why on earth are we talking about Jude Bellingham on an Arsenal fan channel? Well, because I believe that there's a potential domino effect that I think affects Arsenal.
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham has been very strongly linked with Liverpool, Manchester City. I don't think Man United and Chelsea were ever really in the run-in. Real Madrid.
I heard rumours of United, but it was more Liverpool than City, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Madrid. Now, I'm just going to get the exact tweet, and it was from the man himself, Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. So Real Madrid are close to completing a deal to sign Jude Bellingham. Confirmed, he says. Negotiations. I don't know what he means when he says... I think he means that it's confirmed that they're close to completing a deal. Anyway, negotiations are progressing to the final stages. Personal terms are almost agreed. New meeting has been scheduled to complete the agreement with Borussia Dortmund. So it looks like that's where Jude Bellingham is going. You often find with these really, really big transfers that they actually do get sorted quite early in the summer because it's been worked on for so long. I think both City and Liverpool will be really disappointed they've missed out on this target. Yeah, and I think that can make them far more aggressive for some of Arsenal's potential targets.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the way I looked at it, because even before the show, you and me were talking about the possibility of Declan Rice now entering into the equation in terms of what the other clubs might be looking at. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost with Bellingham, I've spoke about it on the shows before, but he's a tremendous talent. I've got to say that.
Yeah.
Excellent player. Would actually have liked to see him in the Premier League, to be honest, as a football fan. He's going to Madrid, and listen, massive club, one of the best clubs in the world. So that's a great move for him.
What midfield they have now? Tchouaméni, Valverde, Camavinga and Bellingham.
And I'm sure he'll do well there because he's got all the attributes.
Yeah.
Both physical and mental. He looks like he's going to be the complete player. He's the future, isn't he?
Yeah.
Guys like that are the future. Like I said, I'd love to have seen him in the Premier League. Now, some Arsenal fans may look at that and say, well, why would you want him to join? It's the brand I'm talking about. It's the Premier League. I love watching the Premier League. I love watching great players, and he's definitely destined to be one of those. So, that being said, though, like you said, James, now that he's gone to Madrid, that will obviously have ramifications for the transfer window in this country. So it could well be that our supposed number one target, Declan Rice, all of a sudden there'll be extra interest in the likes of Declan Rice now that Bellingham's gone elsewhere.
So Gunnar Vettel is in the comments. Big thank you to Vettel. He says Arsenal. This is a quote from Sammy Mockbell, and I did see this. Sammy obviously does report on Arsenal a lot, very accurate as well with his reports. Says that Arsenal will sanction a costly summer recruitment drive to close the gap on Man City. It's understood Arteta wants a new centre back, possibly 2 central midfielders and an attacker. And I think Declan Rice was very, very high up on that list.
I do.
I'd go as far as to say, from everything we're hearing, it looks like he's the top target. So, by hearing, I mean in the news. I don't have, what people, me and my HP sources. No, but whilst, so I tweeted when I saw this news, I said, well, Man City will probably go in for Declan Rice then. And everyone said,
that's the worry.
Some people said, yeah, I know it's stressful. Some people said, no, different players. I don't know how different they are. I know Bellingham has more flair and has maybe a little bit more final third quality and is a better player, in my opinion, from the what I have seen. But Declan Rice is a box-to-box midfielder for Pep Guardiola. And let's not forget, Pep Guardiola is building a much more physical team. His teams have always been very easy on the eye, wonderful technicians, but now he's adding build to that. He's got a back four of Walker, Stones, Diaz, Akanji, then Laporte can come in. His midfield, Gundogan, he might not be 6'2" or whatever, but he's strong, he's stocky. De Bruyne as well throws his body about. Rodri, and I think he was looking for a Bellingham to add a little bit more physical presence to that midfield, and I think Declan Rice makes complete sense for Man City going forward. And I'd go as far as say Liverpool too, because it's only one bad season they've had. I don't think anyone's going to be writing off Klopp and Liverpool to turn it around again next year.
No, they'll definitely be stronger next season. In fact, we've seen signs of it now, haven't they, where they're recovering their form, Liverpool. But I absolutely do agree with you. It's interesting you make that comparison with Bellingham and Declan Rice, which is, quite natural thing to do. I would say Bellingham has a slight edge because he's a bit younger and his ceiling is probably a little higher.
He's a bit more complete.
Yeah. But they're both tremendous talents. And listen, I thought Declan Rice to Arsenal makes a lot of sense.
I think it makes an unbelievable amount of sense.
Yeah.
I know West Ham fans don't want to hear it, and I get it. But what do Arsenal need? Well, they need serious cover for Thomas Partey, but they also need serious competition for Xhaka. They need a midfielder who gets up the pitch like Xhaka did yesterday, but also can tuck in and drop deep. Yeah. They need cover at centre-back because Rob Holding isn't up to it behind William Saliba. Declan Rice has played as a centre-back before. He kind of fills like 3 positions we desperately need depth in.
And he started to add scoring goals to his resume as well.
And he's brilliant. Yeah. Just that alone. Even if we didn't need that particular profile, he's just brilliant. Who wouldn't
that
want
modern
to play
day number 6? He fits it perfectly, as does Bellingham. So Declan Rice is pretty much the kind of prototype number 6 really for the Premier League. Okay,
so you're Declan Rice, and Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta come to you with their projects and their proposals. I imagine Guardiola's is something along the lines of come and win trophies, come and work with the best manager in the world, we'll pay you big money as well, we're going to win hopefully Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, and he's saying hopefully, I'm not saying hopefully, and all this stuff. And then Declan goes, cool, how much am I going to play? Well, we'll rotate you in, and there's Rodri as well, and of course Gundogan needs replacing, but we'll see what happens with Foden and Bernardo as well and all that. And then Arteta comes and goes, you're my main man. You are the future of our midfield. Yeah. You're going to wear the armband one day. Yeah. You Saka, Smith Rowe, all these young guys. You're like Ben White. Be a part of this young team. Which way are you leaning towards?
Well, you'd be surprised to learn that I'm going to say I'm going to lean towards Mr. Arteta. I mean, listen, Declan Rice would have seen. Calvin Phillips, remember him? Once a very bright prospect.
Yes.
Gone to City and kind of sunk without trace there. Now, okay, we've heard Pep say in recent weeks that there was an issue with the weight. So it might be, and I don't want to speculate too much because I don't know what's going on, that it might be that Pep is questioning his professionalism there. So, it's not something I want to get involved in, but I'm just saying what I've heard. But listen, if you're Declan Rice, you would have seen Calvin Phillips go there, not quite work out yet anyway. Even Grealish got off to a bit of a slow start there. He's having a great season this season, but took him a while to establish himself in the team. Now I would imagine that Declan Rice, he's not a cert to start every week for Arsenal, but I think the way Arteta will approach it, I'm sure he's going to say, look, we want you to be those part of that young group of players that are going to carry this football club into that next realm. We want you to be a part of it. We're going to build the club around people like yourself, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, people like this. So, you know what I mean? We want you in there, driving from the front into the next, you know what I mean? We've got Champions League football, right? Like you said, possible future captain, you know?
Yeah, Declan Rice, it's a big decision for him. I think he's going to have... I don't think Enzo's cutting it as a holding midfielder for Chelsea. I think they want to move him into another area of midfield, and so I think Chelsea will be in for Declan Rice. I think Man United will have an eye. I don't think they'll do everything to sign him. I think they've got other areas to address.
Hasn't he got previous history with Chelsea, though? He was there as a lad,
in their
and
academy,
it didn't quite worked out.
Yeah, he was in their academy. I think Liverpool will be looking at him. I think Man City will. So that I think we're there with them. So that's 5 clubs potentially he could go to in the summer. Now, I actually believe Arsenal's project is more attractive to Declan Rice than all of them bar Man City's. I do. I think he'd much rather go to to Arsenal over Man United, Chelsea, or Liverpool. I might be wrong. I might really be wrong, because you've got to respect, as I said, what Liverpool have done over the last 5-6 years under Klopp. You've got to respect what Man United are as a football club and how well Ten Hag's done this year. You got to respect that he was in the Chelsea academy, and there's London, and you know that they're going to throw enough money at it, eventually to get it right, and that Pochettino will probably have an improvement. But I think the first time in about 10 years, Arsenal is a legitimately attractive project. I think you're talking the creme de la creme are the only players that are thinking, no thanks, I'm looking at City, PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, whatever. I think the rest would genuinely be excited by coming to Arsenal. So that makes it very
attractive.
It's just so difficult to understand whether Rice would swing. Would he really turn down what's almost guaranteed trophies and success at Man City to try and be the difference at Arsenal? Now, maybe because Van Dijk was linked with Man City heavily before he went to Liverpool, and Liverpool weren't that team when he went. But I don't know. I mean,
it's you try to put yourself in the mindset of these players, and I mean, listen, you made the point about the trophies and the almost guaranteed success that you're going to have at a club like City. And you've got to also look at the fact that when you play for Man City under Pep, 9 times out of 10, your game is going to improve commensurately, isn't it?
Yeah. That's
one of the things you always hear players say. I've heard Grealish say it recently, that he's improved so much as a player. So that's going to appeal. Not to say that Arteta can't improve him as a player, but Pep is known as that guy, isn't he? Yeah. Although Calvin Phillips might dispute that again, but
it's funny you mentioned Phillips. I mean, Rodri, I don't think had the best first season at Man City. I think a lot of City fans, or maybe rival fans, were saying, "What does Rodri do? I don't get it." And now he's a
hell of a player,
unbelievable player. But it did take him a year while they still have Fernandinho. Yeah. So Guardiola's players, Mahrez is the same. They take a season of bedding in, and I just wonder whether Declan Rice will think. There's Rodri and Phillips there. They're both a good age. Not like one's 33, the other's 28. Phillips is 24, maybe 25, and Rodri's 27. He'll go, all right, well, so I'm not going to be playing as the defensive midfielder. Okay, well, I might play, either side. I might play as a more advanced player, but he's still got to get in again ahead of Foden, who I know plays wide, but he can play in the middle, ahead of Bernardo, ahead of De Bruyne. That's 3 players alone. Yeah, I imagine they'll sign someone else. They've got that Garcia guy who plays in... No, not Garcia, Gomez, who can play in midfield. So, yeah, I don't know.
Listen, I might be looking at this through rose-tinted glasses. I probably am.
No,
I would
am
imagine
too,
that the Arsenal project, if presented to him in the right way, could appear to be more exciting insofar as the way where they would approach it is to say, listen, we want you to be part of a young band of players that's going to carry us forward, revolutionise this club, start winning things at the very highest level. We're talking about leagues and Champions Leagues and things like that. and you're that guy. We're building a team around people like yourself, not just you. We got Saka, we got Martinelli, but we want to add you to that young group of exciting English players, or not all English, but you know what I'm saying. And we see you as that guy, and that might appeal to Declan Rice's ego rather than going to a club like City, who are a bit more further down the road, a bit more established in terms of winning trophies and that. Because we've not had that type of Champions League success. Imagine if you're Declan Rice and you come rock up at Arsenal, within a couple of years you're winning Champions League. I mean, you know, that would be an amazing achievement.
Yeah. Let's talk. We've talked about Man City. We've talked about Guardiola enticing Declan Rice. By the way, all we really know is that Guardiola called Declan Rice an exceptional player in his press conference the other day, and Romano said that there are many clubs. Yeah, exactly why I bring it up. That there are many clubs interested, so we'll keep an eye on that. What about these Guardiola quotes talking about Arsenal and how Arsenal fans should have some perspective?
Let's talk about that.
I saw that should have some perspective. Listen, I listened to it in full because I know what happens. The quotes go around and everyone gets really mad. And if you listen to the full quote, I couldn't find the actual start of the interview, or the question he was asked, but I don't think he was. Well, this is what I'm going to ask everyone and you. Was Guardiola being deliberately, kind of ruffling the younger brother's head? Or
bit
whatever?
Of mind games, bit of psychobabble. It's one of the. He's very clever, Guardiola, because he says things in a lot of double speak.
Well, should we read the quote?
Yeah.
So he's
for those who may not have heard it.
So he said, after the 7 years, they won the most important title of the season for the club to qualify for the Champions League. He then goes on to mention that financially, it's prestigious, and for many things, including signings, it's the most important title today. And he says, I'm pretty sure they have to be so happy. By far.
Now listen, if you just read that, right? Read that out, you're thinking, whoa, actually he's right. Because as I said earlier, I alluded to it earlier, James, that most Arsenal fans, myself included, and you as well, at the start of this season, our aspirations for the club were basically to get Champions League football. So he is right in what he says there. But you could also look at it like, is there a bit of mind games there? Is he being a bit...
I think he's big, and I'm saying this a bit
only he will
tongue-in-cheek.
know deep down, but I suspect it's a bit of both.
I'm saying this a bit tongue-in-cheek as well, but I think he's being a complete arse.
Oh dear!
I think he knows what he's doing. I don't think
I was thinking about this. You know who will know though?
Yeah.
Will be Arteta, because obviously Arteta knows him very, very well. I'm still I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt this morning, and then me and you started talking about it. I thought, you know what? Yeah.
Do you know what gets it?
The more you think about it, you think, he's probably having a little pop, a little sideways pop, damning you with faint praise. Or you think to yourself, well, actually, what he said is factually correct.
No, this is what gets me, okay? Pep Guardiola speaks very good English.
He does.
And if he'd said, look, they put up a great fight, of course they're disappointed. He did say, I imagine that the feeling that the club will be a bit sad and all that. But if he'd said they'll be disappointed they didn't win it, but in fairness, what a season they've had, I believe that's sincere. But to say they won the most important title of the season for the club, give me a break. Come on.
But you know what?
I know we haven't been up there for a long time, and he's right. It is, from a financial standpoint and growth standpoint. I think it's one of two things. Either he's trying to wind us up, or he's just said it wrong. And what he's trying to say is the biggest thing for Arsenal's growth is that they got Champions League, whether or not they won the title or not. Yeah. But I just don't listen.
And he's a very clever man, Pep, because he knows, right, that if he suddenly starts to take a bit of stick for those comments, he can introduce that whole, but English is not my first language. What I said, I meant honestly and sincerely. People are perhaps taking it another way. Let me rephrase it then. You know what I mean? He's very clever in the way he's phrased or framed those words. You know what I mean? He's very clever.
Well, Crookby here says, nah, he's rattled me. He knows what he's doing. And he's done this before. I remember when he talked about how amazing Chelsea were. One of the hardest teams to play against. What a difficult team. They ended up finishing like 20 points above them the season after, and albeit they did lose the Champions League final to them. But Guardiola, he's done it a few times with Arsenal this year, where people were saying, you've got to play them, you've got really good momentum, they're inexperienced, and he said, yeah, but I'd rather be in their position. I'd rather be 5 points clear any day. I'd rather their position. And
but he's also on the record as saying that he's not into mind games and stuff like that. I've heard him say that.
I don't believe him for 1 second. I don't believe him for 1 second. Yeah. What I do think is sincere is his friendship with Arteta. I think when we were struggling and he was being asked in press conferences, he might lose his job, blah, blah. I remember when Arteta lost his first 3 games of the season last year, and Pep said,
the first one to come out.
Well, Pep was saying, what world do we live in? 2 games into a season, you want a manager sacked, and I think that was all very sincere. I do, but now and this is where I want to flip it in a less negative look on Guardiola here. He's doing it because he rates us,
or he perceives us as a threat.
That's exactly why.
You know what I mean? That often changes the dynamic of how people think about you, isn't it? Yeah. What's that old saying about liking and respecting people? You know what I mean? Now that he's forced to respect us, he's thinking, maybe it's time to start putting a few shots across the bows.
I think that's what it is. I think, as he said all season, we've not been the best team in the league. Arsenal have been the best team in the league. And everyone agreed with that, but I just always thought the way it was delivered was a sense of pressure. No, they have to win it. I'd rather be in their position. And he was doing the little things, and then everything was saying in press conferences, saying, I need the fire from the fans. I need the fans to get behind me. I think he's played the media and he's played his part in press conferences masterfully. I think he has been an absolute genius. I think Pep Guardiola has been just fucking brilliant, actually.
I must admit, the more and more I talk about it with you, I'm starting to go along with it.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's an element of shithousery in there, but
I take it as a positive. In terms of I'm not like mad at him.
It's factually actually pretty spot on, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's not saying anything there that is wildly inaccurate or even inaccurate, unless I've missed something there. He's basically saying, look, when he described it as a trophy, though, that's what kind of made me.
When he described it as the most important trophy for the club, I thought, you are such a winder. But I do ultimately think he's.
Arteta will know, though.
Yeah, I do ultimately think.
Will know. Yeah. He will think, I know what you're doing.
I do think he's ultimately doing it from a position of, okay, I'll respect this club now, and I need to just get under their skin a little bit.
So are we to take that as a backhanded compliment then?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Yeah. I'm not mad at it.
Getting in our feelings and thinking, look.
No, I'm not
maybe
mad
we should think, we're coming.
I think it
he
shows
knows we're coming.
Yeah, I think, But Pep's got to know that. There's been a lot of talk recently about, will Arsenal even make top 4 next year after, because things can change so quickly. Maybe not. Maybe Liverpool become brilliant. Man United keep going in the right direction. And, Newcastle, who knows? There's maybe no stopping them. There's absolutely, there is a chance Arsenal next season don't get to the level they've been at this season. And
it's an interesting point because I've been asked that by quite a lot of people, Arsenal fans as well as by fans of other teams. In the gym, when I'm out shopping, people will come up to you and talk, and they'll say, is this a one-off, what we're seeing from Arsenal? Or do you think that we can sustain this and be a powerhouse next season? So probably Pep is alluding to that with these comments that we're saying is slightly mischievous, or more than slightly. And he's doing it because he perceives Arsenal. He will know Mikel Arteta more than most. He will know what he's trying to do and his thought process in what he's doing. So he's probably thinking, you know what? These guys, man, it's not just this season, next season, these men are going to be coming for me. So let me just get my shots in early, what I mean?
But what I was also going to say is that he's probably looking at it going, you know what? The title isn't wrapped up, come game week 34. I think today they've got their 33rd game. So he's probably thinking, and this isn't the final version of Arsenal. Exactly. They still haven't made that 60, 70 million pound signing or couple signings like Liverpool did with Van Dijk, Alisson, Fabinho, all them. They haven't hit anywhere near their peak. These players are still 4 or 5 years off what's supposedly meant to be their best years and their best ages. So I do think there's a part of him that's going, I need to just do a little something here, and I need to just all, and that's why.
Ruffle the feathers a
See when they
little bit,
beat us 4-1. I bet that's the most up for it they've been for a game all season. Because I think Arteta.
Well, you saw the way they celebrated after the game.
I think Guardiola wanted to flex his muscles a bit and just said, "Let me just remind you all who we are."
100%.
Now we do.
And sorry to interrupt. This goes back to what I was saying at the top of the show about the need, even if we don't win the title this season, the need to finish strong, because what we want to do is cement ourselves as a powerhouse of the Premier League, so that we can go to the likes of Declan Rice and say, look, we finished runners up to City. We're a young, inexperienced team. We had a few injuries at crucial moments. We need to strengthen and bolster the side. With guys like you, we firmly believe that we can surpass City in the coming seasons, and we want you to be at the forefront of that. That's how this sort of thing works. Whereas if we fall off and, you know, lose games and it kind of ends with a bit of a damp squib, guys like Declan Rice, or, you know, not just him, potential signs might look at it and say, yeah, I think that was a bit of a quirky season for Arsenal. That was a bit of a one-off. The likes of Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, United.
We need to go again next year.
Yeah, we need to show people, man, that we're in it for the long term, for the long haul.
Ricky says it's a genius psychological play. People will take it the way they interpret without him having said anything. Clearly, he is making us thick-skinned. Now, I've got some semi-breaking news. This is from Sammy Mockbell. There's loads of breaking news on this show. This is from Sammy Mockbell on the Mail Online. Let me just give you the title. Declan Rice, Moussa Diaby, Wilfried Zaha and Mark Guehi are on Mikel Arteta's 6-man wish list as Arsenal prepare to spend big in the summer in a bid to close the gap on title rivals Manchester City. Now, we're going to read this live together for the first time. I haven't seen this, but Arsenal will sanction a costly summer recruitment drive to close the gap. So this goes back to what Gunnar Vettel was saying earlier, and I thought he was referring to a different report, but it's actually this one that was published just an hour ago. The Gunners moved back to the Premier League summit. That won't last long. City are playing tonight. It understood Arteta wants a new centre-back, possibly 2 central midfielders and a versatile attacker. Bayer Leverkusen forward Diaby is believed to be of serious interest to Arsenal. 23-year-old has an excellent season. Cool, he's got 14 goals. And then what else have we got? He's likely to cost in excess of 50 million, Diaby. There is going to be competition from Man United, Real Madrid and PSG have all been linked. Now, Wilfried Zaha is out of contract at the end of the season and is also a consideration for Arsenal, but they want to pursue a move for Diaby before exploring a potential free transfer for the Crystal Palace star. So that's interesting, because Arsenal have to make a decision quite quickly, because I don't think Zaha will be clubless for that long.
No. We have been linked with Zaha in the past, and my good friend Curtis, shout out to Curtis, he's a fan of Zaha, and I know he's long been an advocate of Zaha coming to Arsenal. Listen, man, we know that Zaha is a quality player. He's getting on a little bit now, but even so, he's quality. He would definitely enhance Arsenal. Whether that would work, whether that would be their number one target, I'm not so sure. But certainly Declan Rice would be.
Well, get this as well. Rice is open to joining Arsenal now they have qualified for the next season's Champions League. The Hammers will be looking for £100 million, which may prove a stumbling block. Southampton's teenage midfielder Romeo Lavia is also of interest, while the Gunners remain keen on Brighton's Moises Caicedo. At centre-back, Crystal Palace's Mark Guehi has impressed Arsenal recruitment specialists this season, but the Gunners are one of many Premier League teams, including Tottenham, keen on the England international this summer. The North London club will also look to offload some of their fringe players, with the likes of Folarin Balogun, Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding and Emil Smith-Rowe set to attract interest this summer.
I can see that, to be honest. I was saying to one of my colleagues yesterday on the watch-along that I think Tierney's days at Arsenal might be numbered, as sad as that is for me to say. He's not had a lot of first-team football. He's a very good player. Scotland International, World Cup and all those kind of competitions coming up in the future. He will want to have his name out there, playing regular football. He's not getting that at Arsenal, and he might be thinking, you know what, maybe it's time for me to, move on. So I could see that happening. Smith Rowe as well, he's not featured much. He might be thinking, look, I can't see where I'm going to get a start here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even the likes of Eddie, people like that, you know what I mean? Even though he's just not too long signed a contract, he might be thinking to himself, well, if Arsenal are looking for another striker. You know what I mean? I'm already not getting any game time. It might be time for me to look at my options as well. Balogun, as we've spoken about, he's on loan, doing very well, highly thought of, but he might be thinking, you know what I mean, might be time for me to look elsewhere as well. So
yeah, I mean, my thoughts on all those is Balogun, I think he's gone because he's not. I don't think they'll tie him down to a new deal. I think he wants to play regular football. I don't think we can give him that. We can only give him a squad place. I don't think he's going to sign a contract unless he's promised.
I mean, where
the
would he be
regular
in the
football he
pecking
wants.
order? He'd be quite low down. wouldn't
Well,
he?
unless he goes straight behind Jesus, but then you've got Trossard there as well. Is he ahead of Nketiah? Probably, but hard to know. So I think there's a real chance Balogun goes and that quite a lot of money is brought in for him. Kieran Tierney, I just don't think suits the way Arteta wants his fullbacks and players to play. So I think he'll be gone. But I keep changing my mind. Every day I feel differently. Sometimes I think, no, we'll get one more year of Tierney. Other times I think, actually, it does make sense he'll be off. Rob Holding, I think just makes sense. I think
even Rob
the team's
would know
evolved
that.
beyond Rob Holding. Sorry, Smith Rowe. I get it too, because every time we talk about Smith Rowe getting into this team, we talk about it. He's not got one Premier League start this year, you know. And I think we often talk about it, you know, in a sense of how does he fit in terms of, you know, what will he be the Xhaka replacement? So will he develop an understanding for defending, or will he be a wide player? But our wide players are all so direct and penetrative that I don't know if Smith Rowe's got. I think Smith Rowe is almost more of a number 10 or a wide creator, and I don't think we play like that. So,
and also you got to look at it like this: we're winning 3-0 against Chelsea yesterday, and the likes of him and Eddie don't even get any minutes. You kind of look at that, you're thinking,
that's
well,
weird. Yeah, you're
if
right,
you can't even
that.
play when we're 3-0 up,
Yeah,
then it's
I
kind
didn't think of that.
you
That
know
is
what I mean?
strange.
That's what I was thinking. I'm looking at it because I'm almost putting
So could Eddie be
myself
off?
in those people's. Yeah, I'm thinking, because I saw Eddie last night. The camera panned to him, and he had like a snoot type of thing up, and he, you know, it was right up by the nose, and you could see he looked a bit disconsolate because he's probably thinking to himself, "Look, I need to get some game time here, man." Because you
especially
know what I mean?
when he led the line quite well for us.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
time of the season
he's
where
had
we
a
needed it.
couple of sparing appearances recently, 5 and 10 minutes. That's nothing really. If you're a young player with ambition, you're going to want to play football. You can love the club as much as you want, but at the end of the day, it's your career. You only get one. You have to maximise your.
Yeah, and I think Arteta now.
And that's what I said about Tierney. I'm hearing rumours about Newcastle now. I'm not being funny, but Newcastle would be a great fit for Tierney, wouldn't it? I mean,
yeah, it would be. You know, Arteta's found a balance now with Arsenal where, you remember, even a summer ago, even 2 years ago, we couldn't give away any of these players. They were all crap. They were so bad. We couldn't get rid of any of these players. And now,
yeah, we're not going to name names, but I know who exactly
we
the
know
likes
exactly who
you're
we're talking about. We were cancelling contracts and all sorts. It was a nightmare just to.
We were almost paying them to leave.
We were paying players to leave, and now we're in a position where, actually, because he's got the club to a certain level, there's stock in these players. There's a real value to them, and I mean, look at players like who are some of those Liverpool youngsters that Liverpool sold for like 20 million, like Ryan Brewster.
Yeah.
You know, but because Liverpool were doing well, his value was carried up with the rest. He was never worth 20 million. But you know, that's what you command when you're a club doing well.
Jordan Ives, your what's the guy who plays for Palace now? The fullback. He was one of those types. Yeah, Nathaniel Klein.
They get a fee for him, but you know, so this is what I mean. So I actually think we'll get some decent money for some of these players. In terms of the incomings, Diaby, I think, makes sense as a backup to Saka. I think could be probably quite similar in the way he's used him there. All I would say is I would rather we get a different forward, because Nelson can play on the right, Martinelli can play on the right, hell, even Vieira can play on the right, Jesus can play on the right. I'd rather we get an Ivan Toney style striker.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You took the words out of my mouth. Listen, I think we've got to try and go for that guy. He would be perfect for us in so many ways.
Yep.
You look at his attributes. Big, strong, skillful, confident, a real goal scorer. He even takes penalties. Listen, man.
Mark,
it's a no-brainer for me. We've got to try. Because he's different to Jesus. And Jesus, for all the attributes that he brings, the one thing that I would say about Jesus is that he's not a prolific goal scorer. We saw that at City, and we've seen it up close and personal with Arsenal. He's a tremendous player. He gives a lot. He brings a lot. He's not quite that kind of, if you need a goal, you can be certain. Whereas with Tony, you do get that impression. Every time Brentford play and I look at who scored for them, I'm almost surprised if Tony's name's not on. You know what I mean? It's one of them, isn't it?
He's got 20 league goals this season.
And you know, with
fantastic
respect, Brentford are a very decent team, but you sort of think to yourself, if you're playing for Arsenal, with the amount of chances recreating a game, he's probably going to be like scoring 10 more in a season. You know what I mean?
You'd hope.
Maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying.
No, well, look, if he can bring 20
He's a
league
proper
goals to
what I
Arsenal,
call sniper.
That'd be unbelievable. And he's got the hold-up play, and he's got a really good pass on him, and he is cool. You know, he's cool.
And I like his confidence. I think that's one of the real things.
He doesn't care who he's facing.
No, he will. You know what I mean. And even if he misses a couple, he has that little smug look, if you like.
Yeah.
Thinking that and then you see him get the next chance, he takes it and he goes off to the crowd and he's doing his little sort of celebrations. You think that's a guy that's got real self-belief.
Mark Gehi, I like the links. It tells you that Ben White's future is as a right back. I thought maybe when we were linked to Fresneda in January, that suggested to me that long term he wants White, Saliba and Gabriel battling it out at centre back. But you got Kivior in there as well. My glasses are going all over the place. You got Kivior as well. So I think the chances are that Mark Gehi just does mean that Ben White's future is as a right back. Tomiyasu will probably play as a right back and left back. You've got other youngsters. And that's it really on the transfer front. The Zaha links, like it said here, it's a player you go for if we don't get Diaby or that doesn't look possible. The thing I like about Zaha, similar to Trossard,
so you're suggesting that's more of a fullback position?
Yes, as in like a backup.
But
what I'd say about Zaha is I've always really liked Zaha. In terms of, yes, he can play right and left, but he can lead the line really well. I've seen him do what Tony did at the Etihad, which is lead the line against City, be an absolute handful, put his body about, take players out of the game, score big goals.
Player.
I'm a big Zaha fan.
Premier League battle tested and ready as well.
Yeah,
like Tony.
Abdullah says, don't want Rice, Caicedo nor Zaha. What we have been saying for the last 4 games, we need experienced players who have won majors and know how to run in. Abdullah, I hear what you're saying, but we don't need that. I get if that's what you want, but a lot of clubs, Liverpool being one of them, they caught Man City without signing ready-made experience who have been there and done it. But I get what you're saying. Now, I know that, Laurie, you're in a rush and we need to let you go in a sec, but I do need to ask you about a couple things really, really quickly. Just one-word answers. Lionel Messi is leaving PSG at the end of the season. Breaking news came through during this live show. It's not really happened for him at PSG at all, has it?
No. That whole atmosphere, ambience, it's not working, is it?
No. Where does he go?
Probably back to Barca.
I hope he does.
Or if it doesn't work out there, I could see him going somewhere like America.
Yeah.
Or maybe even back to Argentina.
I hope he goes back to Barcelona. I think
that's his first love, though, isn't it? He said it on many occasions.
Yeah.
That one day he's going to go back there. It's his first.
Can they even afford him?
Well, you say that, but I'm sure there's some big benefactor out there, and
sure they'll find a way.
They will find a way of making it happen.
All right, next thing.
He's not coming to Arsenal, I think.
No. De Zerbi was officially linked with a move to Inter Milan today. And look, again, doesn't really impact Arsenal, but according to Telefootball, the Telegraph, Brighton players fear Roberto De Zerbi is leaving for Italy, according to Sam Dean. That's his report. Does a lot of reporting on Arsenal as well.
That does not surprise me in the slightest.
The links were with Inter Milan.
In fact, I actually said, myself and Robbie did a live show last week where I think was it last week? Maybe even the week before. But anyway, it was recently. I think the title of the show was Madrid Want Arteta or something like that. And we spoke about managers possibly being on the move. And on that show, I predicted that De Zerbi probably wouldn't be at Brighton at the start of next season. And I could well be right. So, no, that don't surprise me at all. I would imagine there's a number of clubs looking at De Zerbi. I mean, look, how many managers have lost their jobs in the Premier League so far this season. Must be, what, 14, 15? And listen, De Zerbi looks like the goods, doesn't he? He does look good. From what I've read and people I've talked to, everybody seems to rate this guy very highly. His reputation's already going before him. So, yeah, he's going to be much sought after.
And the final thing, Petr Cech, Arsenal legend.
Well, some people would say he's more of a Chelsea legend than an Arsenal legend, but a former Arsenal player.
He is not an Arsenal legend. That was very tongue-in-cheek. He is not an Arsenal legend.
Like Pep now.
I don't even know if he was even a particularly good player for us, if I'm honest. An honest professional.
I'm sure you're not the only one that thinks that.
And at Chelsea, he was undoubtedly an unbelievable goalkeeper. But
he's one of those signings that we got from Chelsea that were.
He's rightly a Hall of Famer. He's rightly a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. He's one of those signings that we got from Chelsea. There's been a few like that, hasn't there?
Yeah. I honestly
didn't quite work out.
No, I don't think we really got anything out of having him.
Willian was another one that comes to mind. Although, having said that, Willian at Fulham, he's having a very good season apparently. Yeah,
so he joins Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, Rio Ferdinand, Tony Adams in the 2023 Hall of Fame list.
Well done to him. I mean, listen, he
deserves
like you said,
Fantastic.
for Chelsea, he was a legend.
Yeah,
he's seen as part of that pivotal group, wasn't it? Him, Terry, Didier Drogba, and that spine of that Chelsea side that was so successful.
I can't believe Unai Emery started him when Bernd Leno had been the number one. Started him in the Europa League final against the club he was joining to work for a month later.
Crazy.
Not that I'm suggesting Cech didn't give it his all, but he just wasn't even the best keeper at the club, and he started him anyway. For what it's worth, 2022 Hall of Famers: Patrick Vieira, Wayne Rooney, Ian Wright, Peter Schmeichel, Paul Scholes, Didier Drogba, Vincent Kompany, and Sergio Aguero. So Schmeichel.
How many players
Cech.
have Arsenal got in there so far?
Well, the 2021 list is Shearer, Henry, Cantona, Keane, Beckham, Bergkamp, Lampard and Gerrard. So the Arsenal players are Bergkamp, Henry, Vieira, Adams, Wenger, Petr Cech.
Yeah, well,
listen, he's not in there for what he did for Arsenal.
Well, yeah.
Let's call it 5.
Yeah. 5.5 maybe.
5.25.
But yeah, listen, we're not badly represented there, are we?
No, but of course not.
5.
That's why when you trolls come in the chat saying Arsenal aren't a big club, do your homework. All right, that's everything. We have covered so much.
We have.
So much. So we hope you've all enjoyed the show. And remember, go to the link that's in the chat right now to the Invincible Podcast live at the Islington Assembly Hall. We will all be there. Me, Laurie, Robbie, Lee, I think Turkish will be there as well. Cecil might be there on Tuesday, the 23rd of May. The link is in the description. But if you can't see it, you want to just type it in here. It is torlink.to, that's T-O, /AFTV TPS. Go ahead and check that out. And that's been that. Laurie,
I've been doing more thinking. I think you're right.
About Pep.
The more I think about it, the more I think
he's winding us up.
He is.
I'm telling you. And Messi, come to Arsenal. Why not? We need cover for Saka. I'm joking. End the stream.
We need to sell a few shirts.